I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpm.fm to discover more.
Hi, my name is Ian Knauer. Welcome to a special edition of The Wrong Cat Died with Mike Abrams and the Theater Podcast with Alan Seal.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Theater Podcast. If you're listening in that feed, or maybe even hello to people over in the Wrong Cat Died podcast feed. This is an episode that's dropping in both feeds because it's me and Mike Abrams from the Wrong Cat Died podcast teaming up as we do a crossover conversation with the wonderful Ian Knauer. And Ian's career has taken him from Broadway in Anastasia to the West End and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and regional productions of Cats, which is actually why Mike joined us. He's performed as Jafar on Disney Cruise Lines, among many other things, and we dug into all of that, including some behind-the-scenes cruise ship stories, what it was like to finally land Cats after years of auditions, and because, of course, Mike was there, we got into a spirited debate about who really should have been chosen in Cats to be reborn. Spoiler alert, Ian makes a strong case for Old Deuteronomy? No, I'm Team Gus all the way. But a quick heads up, as a one-man band, when it comes to running my own recording gear, sometimes I make mistakes. And this time I didn't catch that Ian's microphone was blocking his beautiful face on video. So if you're watching the video version, my apologies to that. Ian, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But trust me, the conversation more than makes up for it. So find me online on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all the places. As I mentioned, there is video versions of this episode, so you can find those on Spotify or Patreon. Everybody, please enjoy this episode with guest co-hosts Mike Abrams and Ian Knauer.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3.
All right. Today is going to be, I'll call it a fun episode. I've got my longtime friend and co-host of the Wrong Cat Died podcast with me here today as we decided to jointly interview this wonderful human sitting next to us here. He has an incredible career that spans Broadway, West End, regional theater, concerts, film, TV, and cruise ships. We'll get into that. He trained at University of Michigan, has built a career in musical theater, operetta, and acting both on stage and screen. Some of his notable stage credits include Broadway's Anastasia and Mamma Mia, the West End's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, numerous stage adaptations on Disney ships, throwback to the cruise ship, which is why he's here with us today, a regional production of Cats, which is why Mike is here today, and so much more. Guest host Mike Abrams of The Wrong Cat Died and podcast guest Ian Knauer. Welcome to this joint episode of the Theater Podcast and The Wrong Cat Died.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here.
I'm pumped.
So for those of my listeners who don't know what The Wrong Cat Died is,
Yeah.
mine's easier to explain. Mine's an interview, resume rundown podcast there. For the Wrong Cat Died listeners, that's who I am. For my listeners, who are you?
I went to see Cats in 2016, and I thought The Wrong Cat died at the end of the musical. And it's become a podcast where I talk to people about Cats, and there's 250 episodes of talking to Cats performers, Cats superfans, a lot of people related to it. And the premises, we talk about the show, the plot, the character development, and why I don't think Grizabella was the right Jellicle choice. So that's going to be a question for you at the end or sometime in today. That's coming.
I should have prepared.
Yeah, that's coming. But that's my show.
Everybody has an opinion on whether Grizabella was the wrong cat to die, I think.
I don't think anybody talked about it until 2019 when I started talking into a microphone about it.
And now 200 episodes later, you've become part of at least regional theater canon.
Yeah, part of the lore.
Mm-hmm. Because there's regional productions that are spinning up that are always like, go listen to these episodes with the original cast members that you did.
Yep.
That now give them the backstory.
Yeah. It's an undefined show. So it's great to have different versions of how people interpret it.
Well, yeah, because it's all based on poetry and putting music together. And
exactly.
I think there were a core group of people who were putting on the show for so long that they had their own lore and their own stories and their own, but also a lot of that was left up to the actors.
Totally.
So when I did it, we only had, I think, maybe 2 weeks to put the show together, which is insanity. And then we did it for 2 weeks at Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera. This was, I think, in, 2007 or something like that. And we were very fortunate to have Richard Stafford So Richard,
Legend.
right? So he was part of, I think, the original company, but anyway, has been a part of creating and putting together so many cats around the world that it was pretty phenomenal to have that information. But not everything could be given because you only had so much time to put the show together.
With a 2-week production.
That's what I was going to get into. Yeah.
It's don't kick your dancing partner in the face type of things more than like, are they dating or not type of questions that I like to ask.
You know, he was saying how normally they would take 3 days to do, I can't remember what they called it, but it was about finding who you were as a cat and finding out what your relationship with other people were. And to be honest with you, I thought it was all a bunch of hooey. I didn't understand it. I thought, just give me my blocking, I'll do it. And also, at the time, I was 39, so I had auditioned for the Broadway company a gazillion times as Monkastrap, because that was really kind of, I've always been a triple threat, but never like a real dancer. So I thought, okay, well, Monkastrap, I think I can do. So it never happened. Kept auditioning. But so Richard knew who I was, and then the show closed, and I was in my 30s, and I thought, so I auditioned for the tour. Never happened. So then I got to my mid-30s, and I said, right, never, ever happening for me because my body's just not going to be able to do it. So then Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera was doing a season that included White Christmas and Cats, amongst other things. And so I was being considered for one of the lead roles in White Christmas, but that person needed to also be in Cats. So I said, okay, well, I guess I'm auditioning for Cats, and went in, and Richard Stafford was glorious. Got from behind the table, oh, it's so great to see you again. And I sang for him, and he said, I'd love for you to come back and move this afternoon. And I said, move, excellent.
I'm an actor who
Not
moves.
dance,
Yeah.
move, yes. So I came that afternoon in khakis and a polo and my character shoes saying, mover, and the combination was nowhere near movement. But he was very clear. He said, this is the big cat audition. And he said, just do what you can do. We want to see how much you can do. And it was really great. It actually was a very educational day as well for other reasons. That was the very first audition where I thought, I can't do this combination every time. I have to mark it.
Wow,
Or
okay.
not only will I be able to not do the combination, but I won't be able to walk tomorrow. So, but I obviously learned how to do that because I was fortunate enough to get cast. So,
Amazing.
yeah, it was. And then I remember saying to him on the first day, probably, I said, now, Richard, I know this is called Cats, but the less I have to be on my knees, the better. And he laughed. And then he said, oh, you're serious? And I said, yeah, I'm serious. And he said, well, actually, you're playing Monkastrap. Oh, we could have your pose be standing. Okay, great. Why don't I just let you know when I need you to be on the ground and when you can get up? And I said, and I'll get myself down to the ground and get myself back up. And he said, great, that's a deal. So,
But I bet you had some amazing dancers in White Christmas, though.
oh, yeah. Well, I mean, in a theater like Pittsburgh Civic
Yeah.
Light Opera, the ensemble is there for all of the shows. So not only are they brilliant singers, but they're brilliant dancers, and they're young and hungry, and it's fantastic. They're ready to do whatever is thrown at them.
Well, we're getting into the Disney Cruise side. We'll get into all of that where you and I met. But speaking of Young and Hungry, what was Young and Hungry Ian doing to get you started in theater?
Yeah, that's, well, for me, it started very, very early. So I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio. My parents were not in theater, but thankfully they really loved the theater. So I used to go and see all of the national tours that came through town. So I was in choir at my church, and my choir teacher said, Ian, you should audition for this local professional dinner theater production of The Sound of Music. And I said, great, what's an audition? So she helped me fill out the paperwork, and I sang, Wouldn't It Be Loverly from My Fair Lady. And out of about 500 kids, I got the part of Kurt. So, and there were, I think, 3 or 4 of us. So there were like 3 different casts. So we rotated because we were all going to grade school at the time. And I did the show for about 9.5 months.
It's like 9.5 years. That's
wow.
That was a long
you play all the children.
Yeah.
9.5 months. And I feel like I made around like $300 a week. So I was doing pretty well.
back then.
11 years old, 1979. And I absolutely loved it. So that's where I fell in love with the theater. I fell in love with performing. And I really felt like I found, I don't think I really understood it, but I found my people. Like I really felt like I fit in to this crazy group of people. And I kept going to school. And then 2 years later, they were doing another show at that theater called Carousel. And I got cast as one of the Snow Children. And then I did lots of shows in high school. Luckily, the school that I went to had a great musical theater program. We were a horrible band.
High school?
High school.
Yeah.
High school. Not middle school, no.
Yeah.
And I feel like I did maybe 1 or 2 community theater shows. And then I had to make the decision about what was going to happen for school because my parents said, no way are you going to do musical theater because, of course, nobody knew what a career in musical theater was back then, and there was no internet.
If you know now, let me know.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So I thought, fair enough. So I loved helping people. So I did a double major. I got into the University of Michigan, and I double majored in musical theater and pre-med, like you do. But of course, the pre-med part of it didn't last very long because the courses weren't hard for me. I just was bored. So I just knew.
You could always play the dentist in Little Shop of Horrors.
Right. And back then, everyone was saying, oh, you can be on General Hospital, the soap opera. But so Michigan was huge for me because I did lots of really great shows there, but I learned really the tools that were necessary that I needed to make my way through this crazy business. So it was a pretty phenomenal place for me to learn and to learn who I was too, because I don't think I would ever have been ready to go out into the world. I was not aware of who I really was. So that was really good too. But learning how to audition, learning how to dance, learning how to pick up combinations. So pretty much everything I learned at Michigan just helped with every single audition and I feel like when I moved to New York, it didn't feel easy, but it felt easy.
You were ready.
I was ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually finished school in 3.5 years. I don't know why I was such in a rush, but, and then I did a year at Disney World, dancing actually at MGM Studios, which is now Hollywood Studios. Mm-hmm. And then I did a theater summer stock gig out in California, and then I did a cruise ship job on the QE2, and then moved to New York, 1992.
Wow.
A little while ago.
Yeah.
And then my first job was 2 weeks after I moved to the city. I got a job at Paper Mill Playhouse.
So you come to the city to leave the city. That's usually...
Well, but I mean, I was living at home. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so then we met on the Disney Treasure.
Disney Fantasy.
You sure?
Mm-hmm. I've never been on the Disney Treasure.
Well, then okay. We met on the Disney Fantasy then. I can't keep the ships apart. No, the Treasure is the brand new one.
It is.
That's why it's on because I was researching it. Yeah, okay. Sorry.
You've been on too many Disney cruises. If
the
you don't
Wish.
know boats.
Have you ever been on too many Disney cruise ships?
I just was on a Royal Caribbean, which is where Cats plays.
Oh, did you see it?
I didn't see Cats. I saw Back to the Future.
Did they do the DeLorean?
They did the whole DeLorean. Well, I was on a trade before the cruise starts officially. Cruise. I was in. It was. I was the +1, so I was happy to go. and it was great. The car does all the stuff. The car didn't do all the stuff every night I was there, but that's the part. I mean, it was like their dress rehearsal, so they were working through everything. Amazing cast. It's an incredible production to do it. No intermission, an hour and a half. Like,
Oh, they cut it down.
they cut it down, and it's really, really well done.
Huh. You have the same look, I'm thinking.
Well, I'd love to. I've never seen it before. I heard that it
Okay.
was so much fun on
So
Broadway, and I
very
just
fun.
really wanted to see it.
Yeah. Well, it's touring. It's touring right now.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
you
a
can
friend
go
like
on
Don.
the
Don's playing
Icon.
the
I think it was the Icon of the Sea. No, Stars of the Seas on Royal Caribbean,
Hmm.
and you can see it for an hour and a half. But I noticed 2 songs that I knew were cut, and they shortened some other parts. But yeah, it's very well done.
How did you get onto the ship? How does one become a guest Broadway performer? Because they made a whole thing out of you. Like, he's on Broadway and now he's here and he's in all these shows.
Yeah. So a long time ago, I had heard little snippets of this. So, like, all of these character guys had been doing this job, but no one was talking about it. I could not get information about it at all. And I thought, what is this? So I was doing Anastasia on Broadway, and a friend of mine came with her husband, and I didn't know her husband, and her husband and I were just, so I said, hey, what are you doing? And he's a Broadway guy, and he said, well, I'm doing this Broadway guest star. I was like, wait, stop. What is it that you're doing? He said, really? I said, yeah, because, well, I'm the Broadway guest artist for the Disney cruise ships. And I said, great. What is that? Tell me exactly what it is. So he was telling me what the contract was and what it was that you did. And I thought, this sounds absolutely phenomenal. And then as the world happens, a person that I have known for quite a long time walked in to see Anastasia. We were chatting. And I said, what are you up to? She said, oh, I'm doing this and this. And no, I'm the New York casting director for Disney Cruise Lines. And I said, wait, what? So she got me an audition. And I went and auditioned. And originally I was auditioning for Maurice in Beauty and the Beast. And then there's another character in a show called Disney's Believe, where you play the dad who doesn't believe in magic. And so I was excited about that, but they both felt very similar roles. And so then the audition was going very well, and I was asking all of these questions about what this job was. And so they said, great, we that's good. You can go. Oh, actually, do you mind sight singing something for us? And I said, I don't mind at all. So they handed me the music for Jafar. And I said, yes, this is great. And they were like, really? And I said, yes, indeed. So, but I don't know it. So if you could just give me a moment, I'll learn it. And so I sang it, and that is what they cast me in as Jafar. So
Yeah.
it was a really lovely thing because I left Anastasia and then gave it a try. So I was in Toronto with the rest of the cast, and the rest of the cast rehearses for 2.5 months in Toronto. And then they're on the ship for about 6 to 7 months. And so I rehearsed for about a month doing the 2 shows up in Toronto. And then went on the ship for just the first 2 months, because most of my contracts are about 2 months long, which is just perfect. And I absolutely loved it. And so I've kind of been splicing that in with regional work, with Broadway work, with other things.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick commercial break. All right, everyone. Now we're back. So I saw you in Norway on that leg of the trip. Where else have you been?
Well, that particular ship, it really lives in the Caribbean.
Right.
So because the Disney Fantasy was going to dry dock in about 2 weeks.
Right now, actually, I think. Yeah.
They took the ship across and made it a whole shebang and
Oh,
did
that's
the
why they did it.
Mediterranean. So that they always like to have a ship that's in the Mediterranean doing Mediterranean cruises. And I think the Disney Dream is going there next year, but they have already done their dry dock. So I believe they're going to have some ship, because there are quite a few Disney ships at the moment.
They keep releasing one a year, I think, at this point. They're going to do that for the next while. And I have a little insider information, and I know I'm going to butcher this fact. So just research it to verify. But that's why all the ships say they're based out of Nassau, because Nassau, a country has to own a boat, a cruise ship. And it has to go to Nassau and do the Caribbean for 2 years to get the tax purposes or something. There's something, every new ship is always, I think, going to go to the Caribbean for 2 years. And then that'll shift other ships to other parts of the world.
Although I don't know that the Adventure is. I'll be curious to see what they do.
Isn't the Adventure the one, though, that they bought partially built? So that's a separate financial arrangement.
Oh, I see.
Because that one they bought off of another cruise line that went bankrupt, I think. And so they're retrofitting it. So I think it's a whole different thing.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they have to stop in Nassau.
Yeah, for like 2 years, I think.
But they have to stop like before they let passengers on.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
To like, it's all tax. It's all for tax purposes.
Yeah, it's all taxes. Anyway, I want to touch on cats a little bit because Mike is here, and I have never been part of a debate with a guest. I think on your podcast, I've been on your podcast a couple times, Mike.
You've been on a few times, but it's always been more conversations about other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to put it out there that I think Grizz, flat out wrong cat to die.
Great.
I would put Gus number one. Gus is definitely number one for me. I mean, the dude he's lived a life. He's old. He needs to come back. You know what we've never figured out? When you get reborn, do you keep your memories?
So there's a lot of open-ended questions, which is a big part of this debate. And that's where I'll start. I'm not going to answer that question because I want to hear how you answer it first. And then I will maybe influence some of those decisions.
So what am I answering?
Who do you think is the right cat to die?
I've never really actually thought of her dying. I just thought she was going to another place because, we were losing her. But yeah, she's dead. I mean, I guess Old Deuteronomy, because he's the one who's kind of taking care of everybody. So, of course, I feel like he's the one that has been taking care of everyone. Why doesn't he get taken care of and gets
That is such a monkish trap answer. I love it. It's like you're ready to take over. It's like, let's get this guy out of the way. Done. I'm ready.
That's
I'm
right.
in charge now.
Taking over. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No notes. It's not Grizabella. I'm for it.
But do you think they get to keep their memories when you're reborn? Because I was going to say, with Gus, with the skills he has developed in this life, he'd come back and just be a star.
Yeah. Well, let's say yes then. I think that's a great idea. I mean, of course, that's going on, but the cats have 9 lives, so why not?
I think the root of the question still is, what does the heaviside layer mean? So to your point, do they get their memories back? Do they come back to the same tribe? Do they come back in the same body? Do they come back just younger and reborn? Because that's the main argument of my like particular thesis is that Grizabella does all this stuff. She's coming back. They like finally accept her. They finally are ready. And in a few productions, they've made it clear that Syllabub's her daughter, or there's some version of like, this is family. And it's like, all right, now we're going to send you up to the sky. Like, I want her to have a year. I want 1 more year. She can be next year's choice.
Great.
She can have a birthday party or something, like
right, exactly.
Spend some time with the family that just finally accepted you.
That is true. It does seem
cruel.
I put others ahead of her for the next year.
Even next year. Okay.
Even next year. Even next year. I'm like, there's, okay. This begs a philosophical question. Do you deserve, and I put the word deserve loosely in quotes, do you deserve to be reborn because you've experienced bad things out of your control, or because you've made choices that you can't recover from? Or like what makes you a deserving candidate? Do you have to be a good person?
Well, but I don't think
there
there is anything, because clearly, as we have seen in life, that's not the way it works. But we're talking about what would we like. So in our version, yeah, sure.
It's a redemption story. I don't think it's clear if she made the wrong decisions or she ended up in a bad situation. And I think you could definitely interpret that either way.
Right. So I think she's done a little of both. I think she's ended up in bad places because of bad decisions. So I would put somebody I mean, granted, we don't know what Gus has done previous to what we see. Like, he could have done some things to get him on stage.
We haven't canceled Gus yet.
We haven't canceled
could.
Gus. Yeah.
We haven't written that story of what Gus did a couple years ago, or before the internet.
Like Skimbleshanks, like what's happening on the railway, or like Bustopher, just he deserves to be reborn just because he overeats.
Right.
Like,
I still remember. So the first 10 episodes was me trying to decipher the show as someone who's not really seen it that well.
Right. He's a sports guy, by the way. I want to preface
through and through.
Sport, hockey, basketball, like everything.
I still like I went to when I went to see the international tour, they invited me and I went. I went because I went to Wimbledon and I was already pretty close to there, and I was like, yeah, I'll tack on a day. But when I remember so vividly, I got yelled at by a Skimbleshanks because I called him creepy Uncle Skimble because and I know the exact
I would have yelled at you too.
I know the exact moment, and I know I'm wrong now in it, but when I watched he at one point it looks like I think he's supposed to be taking off clothes to like pretend that he's going to sleep in the sleeper train as part of the dance number, and I'm like, this guy's stripping in front of all of his nieces and nephews. And I was like, once I heard more, I was like, because I knew nothing in these first 10 episodes. I was really watching the YouTube clips being like, well, that's kind of interesting. And here's what I think it is. Now I'm like, okay, no.
So in your episodes,
the episodes,
you had a Skimbleshanks reach out to you and yet
one of the first Skimbleshanks I interviewed was like, I got a bone to pick with you. Like right away.
Yeah,
right
that's
away.
Fun.
Which was great.
Yeah.
Well, you've done something right.
You evolve, I didn't know at the time. I didn't know who half the characters were when I was writing
think many people do.
I do now.
I oftentimes think it's a little more interesting to be in it than it is to see it.
A lot of people think that because you get so ingrained in much more the story and the family, then you can't watch it and notice all the things happening. There's too much going on.
Exactly.
So it is hard. But I think that's why there's also a huge super fandom, because they'll go back and watch just those two cats or just that storyline and all those other things happening. You could go watch it 100 times and learn something new.
And you'll always see something different. Yeah.
Yep.
I think we need you, Mike, to write a mockumentary screenplay about a reality show. It's following all the cats behind the scenes, all their relationships, flashbacks to what happened to cause them to be how they are, who they are now. We need to know. Like, we need to get all these characters, all of the character names that are never sung, that are never mentioned, but are consistent in every single performance that goes on.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of that with Peter.
Right. But you need a full screen.
I need to go the rest. Yeah.
You need to do you need to do everything. We need to know like who's been sleeping with who to produce this kitten that turned up to screw over this person, and like we need behind the scenes
There's no
drama.
consistency.
Make it.
But I can't make that because I'll have one show that will definitely do it this way, and then another show will definitely do it that way, and neither are wrong. They make different decisions of where they place them on stage or where.
Well,
they
also
have them
if you don't
together
have enough money to have all of the cats, then it's going to be
the reverse is in high school. You have too many performers that you have 25 cats that don't have other names. There was a civic production. They did 4 in Westerville, Ohio. They did 4 shows. They had 66 people.
What?
Yep.
What about
that's quite
incredible.
A choice to do cats.
Yeah, they did 4. They did it in a garden. I was so mad. I almost was able to make the trip happen. I was so close to being able to go. It's just outside Columbus. I had them on the show. They were so fun. It was so interesting hearing how they did it. It was like father sons were doing stuff. There was like a lot of it was really cool. They did 4 shows. And I was fascinated by 66. And I did, it's somewhere on YouTube, I think. I don't know if you can find it. They sent it to me. It's beautiful because there's so many cats everywhere. Yeah. It's so cool to see.
Huh.
But they have names that you've never heard.
Yeah.
And Fulton Theater in Pennsylvania just did
they had like 30-ish because they had all the coaster kittens. The coaster kittens
on
that we
stage.
Interviewed.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, they had a bunch of high school and college kids that they made up their own names and they made up their own stories. It's a bonus episode that we released where we went and sat with them all, and they had the most fun doing it. But it also, you got to see it twice, right?
Yeah.
It visually incredible.
It's beautiful.
Because there's cats everywhere. There's cats
Well,
behind
that's a
you.
beautiful
And they're,
theater.
They built
Yeah.
this set out of steel, and they were climbing up like 2-3 stories, hanging off of the sides of the proscenium, and it was insane. All right, so for the record, Ian, did the wrong cat die?
Yes.
And your vote is Old Deuteronomy.
Old Deuteronomy.
I'm for it.
So you got to tally this one.
I've got a record. I've keep track.
Okay.
Old
Good.
Deuteronomy says he's got a handful of votes.
I would
but it's
imagine
a
so.
Gus Grizabella race.
Okay.
Oh, really?
So with that out of the way, it's now time for something I just made up that you don't know about, Mike.
There's a cat over there, and the wrong one died.
Or did they?
All right, so Ian, Mike, it's time for a little game. I'm going to call The Wrong Cat Died or Did They? I'm going to throw out some famous deaths from stage and screen, and you two get to decide. I want you to debate whether the right character died for the story, or was it really the wrong cat that died for the story? We're using cat very loosely in this situation. All right, so feel free to defend, debate, do whatever you want. All right, so the first one scenario, the first person here, first cat, is from Les Mis. Javert takes the final leap. Was his death the only ending possible, or was Javert actually the wrong cat who died?
That is a very good question. I don't think he needed to die, but I don't think he was the wrong person to die.
Well, you could have said that about Grizabella.
Well,
Come on, I need a definitive answer, and you too, Mike. I need
You know how little I know about so many other theater
just
shows.
pick.
Les Mis, I've seen
Katie
probably once in a dinner theater that I don't remember as a child, and then I saw the movie years ago.
All right, pick Fontaine.
So yeah, sure. I think I'm just gonna stick to my show. The wrong cat died.
Okay, so you both are in agreement. All right, Javert didn't need to die. Possibly not the wrong one, but didn't need to. All right, number 2. Let's see, Titanic the film. I know you've seen Titanic.
And I've
All
seen
right.
Titanic like many times,
which is
amazing.
which is just the same thing.
Titanic is lore, yeah. So Jack sinks while Rose floats on that damn door. Was he truly the wrong cat to die, or just was it bad carpentry?
I don't think I'm really understanding this. I mean, I'd love for him to have lived because that would have been interesting to see them together. But do I feel like Rose should have died?
Sure, any other character. This could be any other character from the show or the movie.
Well,
A lot of them die
I mean,
in the movie.
True. Maybe this wasn't the best one. Okay, Rose or Jack, or neither.
I didn't really care for her mother. I mean, I think she's fabulous and she looked great and she's an amazing actress, but she was a nasty piece of work to everybody. So
I'm having to remember. I've seen Titanic too many times. I'm like, what actually happened in the real movie? Like, I think there's room on the board for both of them.
And
I know
Celine
that
Dion.
that's been debated, right? Like that's been myth bust.
right.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just pull himself up?
James Cameron busted the myth.
Yeah, but
James Cameron actually tested and recreated that scene that he filmed and proved through body monitors, like made ice cold water to people that probably signed a lot of waivers. And when the dude was shivering so hard, his body temperature rose enough to keep him alive long enough so that the rescue ship would have made it in time.
Oh, so he would have made it.
They would have made it.
Oh,
They
okay.
both would have made it.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
should have moved over.
Yeah.
He could have hopped on.
I'll throw that video in the show notes.
Okay.
But
I love it.
but it is on YouTube. That's where I was like, holy shit, they both could have lived.
I think the
Yeah.
Mythbusters guy also, they
Oh,
tried
did
to
they?
do the density of like, would him hopping on sink them?
No, but that's what James Cameron did. So they had the dude, the guy, the same build and same everything as Leo DiCaprio. They he did it right and crawl up on, and the lady had to get on the other side to like counterbalance it, but they made it. And they both would have survived.
Okay. Then I that's the way the movie should have ended.
There we go.
Instead
All right.
of with the necklace that I still don't understand what the whole point of that was through the whole movie.
Hope Diamond. No, it's not the Hope Diamond. All right, so Romeo and Juliet in Shakespeare's ultimate tragedy. Was it Romeo, Juliet, Mercutio, Tybalt? Who should have died instead of Romeo and or Juliet?
And Juliet. We don't have to make this decision.
No.
Did anybody? I think Juliet's parents deserve to get at least like a kick in the side or something.
Yeah,
They're
I agree
kind
with
of
that.
mean.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about deserve.
There you go. Yeah,
Like-
good callback. Like who could have died to make it a more interesting story.
Oh, you don't think it's, I mean, that's an interesting statement. I think it's fairly interesting.
I do too.
To make it both of them dying. Because actually, I don't feel like it would have held as nearly as much of a punch if the vicar died or
Bonvolio or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you say Bungholio?
Bonvolio. What's his name?
Benvolio.
Benvolio. I've seen. I've also seen and Juliet many times. I've seen Romeo and Juliet once, and it was the recent one, which was the Gen Z version that was very hard to follow at times because as someone who doesn't know it, I was like, oh yeah, this is. Why is there Celsius on stage?
But if Beavis and Butthead recreated Bungholio is a great
Bungholio,
meme.
that'd be great.
That is a really
I would have
great-
watched that one.
Yeah, Bungholio, I need TP for my death serum. Okay, we'll do two more. Let's see. The Lion King, Mufasa falls in that stampede. It is tragic. Ooh, it hurts.
Traumatic.
But was he the wrong cat who died, literally? Or was Scar overdue for some karma earlier? Would Simba still have gone on that journey without that? No?
No, it was necessary for Simba to actually become, because he would have had his father. Like his father would have been actually.
He would have grown up and
There.
been like a trust fund baby or something.
Oh, he would have took
I mean,
over
who knows,
eventually,
but-
right? Though.
True, he would have.
Yeah.
So
I mean that.
who knows?
That was a traumatic moment for me as a child. So I would say I would prefer if he didn't, but I do think that has to happen. But Scar, I don't know. That Scar's kind of like, let's kill McCavity. It's like, what do we need to kill the villain?
No, because I often play the villains, so I like
Yeah.
the villains.
Okay, so this last one's going to be, I think, more difficult to nail down because it's going to be Wicked / Wizard of Oz. Between Fiero's transformation that we see in Wicked, and of course we know the death of Nessa Rose as the Wicked Witch of the East in Wizard of Oz. Like, was Nessa Rose the wrong cat to die?
Yes, that's a very interesting question because we get to know, because the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz and the Wicked Witch or Elphaba are two very different people.
Right.
And so can we say that Nessa Rose and the Wicked Witch of the East are two different people? But also, Nessa Rose is a very different person from the first act to the second act when she, becomes powerful, or I don't know what it is, but she turns. But yes, I don't like that Fiero becomes
I have a very different question about this.
Scarecrow.
The Wizard of Oz is essentially her having a concussion.
Sure.
It's her. It's the sports version it's her CTE.
Or is it?
And so now Wicked is writing further depth of the backstory of her concussion.
Or is it?
Because in that case, who's in the very beginning of The Wizard of Oz on the bike riding in the tornado?
Elvira Gulch.
Right.
Elmira
But
Gulch.
isn't she supposed to be is she the witch?
Yeah.
Because I think that person in the beginning, that scared me as a child. So that is who I think should die. But I still constantly think about The Wizard of Oz being a concussion.
It's a fever dream.
It's a fever dream and concussion.
I'll accept that. I'll take that answer.
I grew up in the Midwest, so tornadoes were very prevalent. And and I watched that movie a ton. My mom put it on all the time for my sister and I. And every time I watched it, I was like, well, there's a tornado coming, and like, am I going to get hit and end up in Munchkin Land? Like, that was like my fear for a while. And it was like kind of exciting, but then it's not. Then I saw Wicked the first time, and I'm like, wait a second, we're going deeper into her concussion.
Well, okay. But granted, at the time we're recording this, part 2 Wicked hasn't come out.
Part 2 hasn't come out yet.
So we don't know. I like the darkness that part 2 is rumored to go into and the transformation of Nessa Rose that we haven't seen yet. I don't know. I'm excited to see that, which I think will really add a lot of depth.
A 2.5 hour with intermission play turned into a 3.5 hour, 4 hour, 5 hour, 6 hour movie.
Side note, did you know that people are showing up to the Broadway show now upset that it is spoiling the movie for them?
I heard that right after the first movie came out. That some people left at intermission
because they don't want to hear.
They didn't want to see it. They wanted to see what they saw on stage and then left. Yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, spoiler for those who don't know, the stage show was first, people.
How long has it been out? It's
I
hard
still
to.
haven't
It's like I
seen
can't
the first
spoil
movie.
Cats. I can't spoil Cats. It's been on for 40 years.
It has.
Wicked's been out, I think, long enough that I hope
It's
we don't
over
have to say
20 years.
spoiler word.
Yeah, 22,
Yeah.
21.
You haven't seen the first
something
movie?
like that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
You
We
haven't
want to
seen
see it on the big screen, and then we
Yeah.
just didn't have time, and thankfully, because I was working and busy, and then it left the big screen, and we were like,
If
nope,
you're committed,
we
I
want to
think-
wait.
I think
So
they're going to do the back to back.
Yeah.
That's what we're.
But you need
aiming
a
to do.
full day.
Yeah.
We'll
figure it out.
6.5 hours of movie. I
Still
think.
works for Harry Potter on the West End.
That's true. That's true.
American audiences don't have that attention
I want to
span.
see the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere.
Yes.
Yes, I've just
I-
heard about that.
Cannot
Yes.
wait.
Oh, I was looking at the behind the scenes of this because you're looking at something now 360 and it was filmed obviously in panoramic. So there are times they used AI to fill in the sides because when a camera like in the scene, for example, when at the beginning at the end when everybody's crowding around Dorothy and she wakes up from her fever dream and then like they cut over to the side and someone's on the side and then they cut back to Dorothy. That person still exists on the side, which you can see if you have a wider field of view.
Right.
So they have to extrapolate and create all of this additional stuff along with the wind and everything. Like they just made it a full immersive experience.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to check that out next time I'm out there.
Yeah.
So-
But it is the movie.
Yeah.
It's the movie.
It is
yeah.
the original movie with extra width added on to
Yeah.
the original.
It's like
Amazing.
your TV expanded.
Yeah.
For it. And they added like apples fall from the tree into the audience and tornado has wind and they
Yeah.
really went for it.
We're going to take a quick break for a few commercials. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the episode.
Did you play any like in the Monkish Trap relationships? Which ones do you remember? Did you play any that like stick out as like, oh, I definitely did that?
Oh, wow. That is a very good question. I did, but could I tell you what they were? No.
Okay.
It was a really incredible group of people. And I think I can't remember if that was the first show and then White Christmas was after it. So therefore we were still getting to know one another. What was very interesting is at the beginning of every rehearsal period, you're supposed to have this 3-day like improv time. And we didn't have any of that. And so at the very end, just before we did our final run in the rehearsal room, he said, right, I'm going to give you 15 minutes to improv. This is what we would have done at the beginning of the week. And it was phenomenal to me how everyone was playing as their character. It was a fascinating thing. And really, I thought, oh, I get it. This would be extremely helpful in telling of the story because you're taking ownership of whatever relationships you are. This is what you're asking. Developing. But no, I can't tell you because I can't remember.
Okay. I'll give you the Monkish Trap rundown of like, here are the things people thought about.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
We've got plenty. We've got it all slowly AIing it. So it's going to be ready to go.
Okay. So I like to wrap up, warm down. Oh man. All right. I need coffee. I like to end my episodes with a couple standard things here. The first one is called Plot in 60 Seconds. So I have a list of 17 popular musicals right here in front of me. You're going to give me a number that is 1 through 17 that will correspond to a popular musical on my list. And then you give me the plot to that musical in 60 seconds or less.
Wow. 6.
6. But we already talked about this a little bit. Is Les Mis. Go.
60 seconds
Oh, my
remaining.
word. All right. So there is, I'm not going to be able to do this. There's a guy who steals some candles. He has to go to jail. And then he
45
does a lot
seconds
of
remaining.
redemption, does a lot of work. He becomes this upstanding citizen and kind of helps a whole bunch of people. But it comes out that he is this person
30 seconds
who is in
remaining.
jail. Wow, this is going to be riveting. I just really am so excited about this telling. And then he is able to continue helping people And then there are a whole other
15
bunch of
seconds
people and a
remaining.
whole bunch of other stories that also happen. And it has really great music. And that's the plot of Les Mis.
Didn't he steal a loaf of bread?
Yeah.
You said candles.
He went.
Did he?
Didn't
Was it?
he? Oh, he stole a loaf of bread, but didn't he go to the priest's house and he? Oh no, maybe he gave those to him.
I think of Great Gatsby.
No,
No, not Great Gatsby. Great Expectations. I was
No,
like,
no.
and then there's this great
he
benefactor who
was-
did this thing.
This is one of the scenes.
Too many greats. Do you want to do one, Mike?
Well, I was gonna say, did you know that? So before we started, I gave a very short work presentation, and I actually did not 60 seconds. I did like a 15, 20 seconds. Like, I think you all need to know the plot of Cats for my story, and I did a extremely fast version for everybody, so I could do you that.
All
if
right,
you
give me
want.
Cats. Go.
60 seconds
Okay.
remaining.
This was also, I'll just preface, this was for work, so I very much had to tone this down from what I would have normally said.
Embellish.
A group of cats called the Jellicles get together once a year to make a choice where they're going to sacrifice a cat to win. So they all want to
45
win.
seconds
So
remaining.
each cat sings a song about why they think they should win. They all end up in what I can only describe as a not work appropriate dance number. and then a cat that hasn't been in the show for like 95% of it comes
30
out,
seconds
sings a
remaining.
song about how sad her life is, and then they decide they put her on a tire, they blast her to the sky to her death. End of musical.
All right.
I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
good. That's
it
pretty
was.
good.
I was not supposed to say orgy at the work meeting, so
Yeah.
I had to tone that one down a little bit. But yeah,
Not
my-
work appropriate after dark scenario. All right,
Yeah.
I get that. All right, so Ian, 3 standard closing questions I ask everyone to wrap up my episodes. First
All right.
one, just simply, is what motivates you?
I like to make people happy. I like people laughing. I like to make money. Yeah, I feel like that all is.
Laughing, happy, money.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, if what advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now, starting out down a similar path?
Just keep going. Keep following your intuition and your instinct. I always feel like you really need to know who you are and where you fit in not only the business, but also in shows. And that is extremely helpful for knowing how to sell yourself. Keep training, keep meeting people, keep being social, because this entire business is all in who you know and who knows you.
Mm-hmm. Last question, hardest one. If you could only see one show for the rest of your life, but you can see it as many times as you want, what would you see?
I think it would be She Loves Me.
That's a new one, I think.
You've
No.
got to be kidding. She Loves Me and On the 20th Century, those are my 2 favorite musicals of all time.
It's interesting, before COVID, Sweeney Todd was hands down the leader.
People would want to watch Sweeney Todd over and over?
Yeah.
Oh, good God, no.
And then post-COVID, it's just been anyone's guess. It's really been interesting. But yeah, I think She Loves Me, that's a new one.
That is
I
fascinating.
need to get Notebook LM on this.
I've never heard either of those 2 musicals. So
Well, they're both pretty amazing.
okay,
So She Loves Me is heartfelt, beautiful, funny, and has a great ending. It's basically You've Got Mail.
okay.
I mean,
That's a great
obviously it was
movie.
based on
Yeah,
another story.
I enjoyed that movie.
And On the 20th Century is just over-the-top ridiculousness and amazing music. Cy Coleman. Yeah, Madeline Kahn was one of the original stars on the stage. So
Yeah.
there you go.
I love that You've Got Mail. I recently saw 12th Night at Shakespeare on the Park. Did not know anything about it going in. And as we're walking in, my friend goes, "You've seen She's the Man, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, that's it. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So the more you can frame some
Yeah.
of these things, it actually makes it easier to follow.
Yep.
It's like, "Oh, I know that
Yeah.
story." Yeah.
So you know where you're headed or where,
Yeah.
and everything else then that is different or is, it's
Yeah.
really fun to watch.
Okay. I'll have to check them out.
All right, Mike, where can we find you on the social medias? Where can we connect with your podcast, all the fun stuff?
At The Wrong Cat Died on all social media and thewrongcatdied.com.
All right, Ian, where can we connect with you?
On Instagram, the Ian Knauer, because there is another Ian Knauer who is a very famous chef.
I know, and he looks like Drew Gasparini. Do you know Drew?
I know who he is. Yeah.
I pulled up Ian Knauer, the chef, today, and I was like, that's freaking Drew Gasparini.
Well, and we didn't used to look anything alike, but now we do look a little bit alike, yeah.
I texted Drew a picture, and I haven't heard back. So maybe eventually Drew will be like, shove it up your ass or whatever. I don't know. You can get more of me at thetheaterpodcast.com or on Broadway Podcast Network. I'm on theater_podcast or the Theater Podcast on pretty much everywhere. Leave a rating, leave a review. Thanks to Jukebox the Ghost for the intro and outro music. Thanks to Welcome to Times Square for the studio we're in now. And Mike and Ian, thank you guys both so much. This has been a great little crossover episode.
Super fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.